Hello, I'm Aleya from ToleratedCinematics.com, and today I will be showing you 10 advanced green screen tips to succeed your shoot at a green screen studio. Try to make your green screen as flat as possible. Make sure it doesn't have any wrinkles or curves. It can have some curves, it doesn't really matter too much, but make sure it is as flat as possible, and then we can work on the lighting. Light your green screen very evenly. So what I do is I have two construction lights, so they are not actual filmmaking lights, and it's not the ideal setup that I have. It's kind of low budget. So I have two construction lights at both sides of the green screen, and I put them at the same angle, at the same distance of the green screen. I center them as much as possible so they can light my green screen evenly. Because if you don't light it evenly, you will get some shadows in the darker areas of your green screen and you won't have a solid color anymore. Therefore, it's going to be a very hard task to key that out. It's also very important to stand 2 meters in front of your screen on average, so it doesn't have to be exact, but the reason being is for the shadows that will be cast on the green screen. So if your actor is too close to the green screen, he can cast some shadows because of the separate lights that we all have. Lighting your actor should be done differently than lighting your green screen. You should have two lights lighting your green screen, or more if you have any available. In studios they use a ton of lights, but for my example I use two lights to light my green screen, and then I use 3 lights to light my actor. I have one key light. That's the most important light, so it fills the actor and on the front of the face and it shows all the accents. Then I have a fill light. That's a softer light. It's not as hard as the first fill light, but that will fill in all the darker areas on the other side of my actor, which will clear that up. And then I have one more light, and that's a backlight, which will give you that nice rim on the overhead of your actor, which is going to separate him from the background. It really depends though on what you want to do. So if you're going for an outdoor scene, it's always better to shoot your green screen scenes outdoors, of course. But if it's for some cinematic shots, I like that shot if I'm in a studio. If you use a sheet like I do here for this example and you put it on the ground, it's also very important to think about it. You don't want your actor to fall, so it's very important to think about, if you're going to use a sheet on the floor, what you're going to put under that. So what I think that works is I use some rubber on the floor, and if I put that sheet on top of that, it's going to eliminate that sliding effect, and it's going to be a lot better for my actor to stand on that spot with the sheet over that, and he is not going to slide that easily anymore. White walls can also be a problem sometimes, because if you have your green screen lit, it's going to cause some of that green to the wall, and therefore it's going to spill some of that green onto your actor, and it's going to be very hard in post to remove that green, as green is a color to be removed. So make sure you have some darker walls, or put some black sheets on the sides of your green screen so you have as less spill as possible. And one very important thing to not forget is to not have green clothing on. It seems very obvious, but a lot of people still forget it on set and they have something green on them. And in this case, it's very extreme, of course, but sometimes you really look over it. So really take note that you shouldn't wear any green if you're using a green screen. If you have green on your clothing and you don't have any alternatives, it's also a great idea to go for a blue screen. So instead of a green screen, you can pick a blue screen. The only downsides to a blue screen is that blue is one of these colors that takes most noise in your video. So if your camera is going to shoot blue, it's going to have a lot more noise than if your camera is going to film some greens. So that's going to be a little problem sometimes in post, but yeah, it's a great alternative to the green. If your actor moves a lot while on the green screen, for example, he is moving his hands, it's also a good idea to look at your shutter speed of your camera, because if your shutter speed isn't as high, it's possible to get that green spill in the movement of the motion blur. So if you don't want that, bump up your shutter speed, film your actor on green screen like that, and then add some motion blur in post if you want to. Also very important, and I have worked with some people that are in the professional world and really did that mistake. not to shoot on a reflective green screen. It's very important that your green screen is flat and doesn't reflect, because yeah, sometimes like if you're going to use plastic, for example, a green plastic, and you light that plastic, the highlights are going to turn white. So for in this example, I only had black plastic, so you can see that when I put lights on it, it's really, the highlights become white, and it's going to be very difficult to erase that in post. So make sure it's a very flat color. It's also very important to look for something professional. Really go for a green screen. The color really matters, and the flatness also really matters. So if you can't find a good fabric besides the green screen studios, I would opt to go for these. I know these can be expensive sometimes, but it will work better, of course. So I'm not saying that this is the case every time, but I have been looking for a lot of green fabrics and I couldn't find any besides the green screen studios. So yeah, you can always paint your wall in green, of course, and that will be the best option to have, because you couldn't have any wrinkles in that. But that's it for this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, give it a thumbs up. Also subscribe to this channel. Check out my channel. I have a lot of tutorials, and some tutorials are coming up, so make sure you subscribe to the channel to see all of these as the first person. If you have ever experienced with a green screen and you had any problems, which were your problems? And you can let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.